Welcome, everybody, to our new show, Women Plus We've Been Waiting For, where we have been unpacking what is not working in philanthropy and impact investing, and really opportunities in which we can really pursue opportunities in philanthropy and impact investing in ways that will generate significantly more impact, and how women are really at the center of this change. And today we have two phenomenal guests, Janine Firpo and Remmer. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So Janine and Ellen, I'm blown away by the fact that you've both agreed to come on this show, just because the two of you together have had such an impressive and inspiring journey in strategic philanthropy and impact investing. You have been pioneers in the field. And most recently, you have joined forces to launch a new nonprofit called Invest for Better that is really centered on helping women pursue all of their social impact objectives with their capital. And so Janine, can you share a little bit more about your journey? And then Ellen?
Sure. Well, thanks again for having us. It's really delightful to be here with you. My journey is sort of a long and circuitous path, but the short version is that I had a really amazing career in international development and technology, and was working on issues of poverty around the world, but also had been introduced to the conversations about impact investing that were going on in the Bay Area. And about 10 years ago, I realized that although I was not the typical impact investor, I didn't have the kind of wealth that many of those people had. I'd made this huge commitment to my life's work. I wanted to make an equal commitment to my money and how it was invested, because at the time I felt that it was working against me. And so I started on a journey over 10 years ago to start investing all of my capital, starting with my cash, in alignment with my values. And I retired about 4 years ago. My financial advisors weren't getting me where I wanted to be. And so I've taken more control of my money back. But I also realized that there's now opportunity for anyone, regardless of how much money they have, to invest in a way that's meaningful to them. And so I decided to write a book based on my experiences and also the knowledge that a lot of women I know have. And so I did that. It's called Activate Your Money, Invest to Grow Your Wealth and Build a Better World. And it was published in May of this year. And early on in my journey, I met Ellen, who was doing similar but different work. And we realized about 6 or 8 months ago that it was time for us to combine our journeys. And so we have done that.
Fantastic. Ellen, tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh, thanks, Alix. It's great. It's great to be here. Mine is a journey of, I think, toggling back and forth between the business and nonprofit world, and finally thinking I'd found my place in it in the world of philanthropy. So the biggest part of my career has been the last 25 years at the Philanthropic Initiative, where I've been advising philanthropists, lots of family foundations, lots of women, on how to be most effective in their philanthropy, and very involved in the Women's Philanthropy Institute. And along the way, about a dozen years ago, as I learned more about this whole idea of mission and impact investing, I came to this recognition that philanthropy, while very important, was just insufficient. It wasn't the whole thing. And actually, this artificial toggle back and forth I'd had between making a difference through business or through nonprofits was just artificial. And that the opportunity to make social change through philanthropy, business, and values and impact investing was really critically important. I recognized from my own personal experience and from the women that I'd worked with that too few women were recognizing this opportunity, recognizing the power. And so they were really leaving the power on the table. of making change that could scale. Philanthropy, critically important, but tough to scale. We don't have enough money.
Mhm.
And so I got very excited, along with a group of other people, about this opportunity to bring more women to the table.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And just hearing you both, and as I was saying, earlier in our conversation, I wish we had an hour for today's discussion because there's just such a wealth of knowledge and experience, and so much of your experience, resonates absolutely with the journey that I've had in philanthropy and impact investing, particularly most recently around addressing the global water crisis. And it's just really interesting to unpack this with you today in the context of women and how we can help women really amplify what they can do with their capital. So, the place where I'd love to start is, we know from the data that's out there, and goodness knows that 2020 has unraveled so much data out there around philanthropy and impact investing in the state of the world, but we have seen that women are phenomenal philanthropists and impact investors, and yet they are not leading a majority of the institutions that are driving the decisions around how capital can be used for social impact and social change. And so, in your opinion, Janine and Ellen, what are the 2 to 3 barriers preventing women from amplifying their philanthropy and impact investing, since we know that, philanthropy is not everything, and, preventing them from having a greater social impact?
I think women are increasingly stepping up in the philanthropy world. Granted, just like in every level of our our structural life, not as many women lead the major institutions, and there's just a world of sociological, historical biology that is kept women out of those very entrenched systems. But you certainly see, whether it's the mega wealth with Melinda Gates and Mackenzie Scott, or you see it at the family foundation level, or you see it in the family household, women are increasingly influencing philanthropy. But I don't think women have recognized the power of investing as being equally or more important, and that they have to work together. And that there's been such excitement about the philanthropy, they haven't seen that possibility. I think that's changing now, as we're seeing more products, and we're also seeing more role models out there. So I'm really optimistic that women will lead the way, because I also think that women have a more integrated view, and can see, and in fact, research shows that when women learn about values aligned impact investing, they add on to their philanthropy. Well, when men learn about it, they replace their philanthropy with investing. But we need them all.
I have more thoughts on that, but first, over to you, Janine.
So I want to talk about this at 2 levels. So the first level is the women who are leading. So I think it's really important to recognize that when we talk about impact investing or values aligned investing, women have been leading this space from the get-go. So you have women like Joan Bavaria, who back in 1982 started the very first financial advisory firm that was focused on social impact. A woman did that. Then about less than 10 years later, in 1990, you had Amy Dominy, who set up the very first index for values aligned and impact investing in the equities, in the public equities market. Today, you have women like Rachel Robasciati, who has come out with the first social justice ESG ETFs fund. So she has created the first fund on the stock market that anyone can buy in the social justice place. You've got Kat Berman, who's come out with C-Note. So I think it's really important to recognize that women are leading in this space. But when you talk about the average woman, then I think what Ellen was saying is true. They, first of all, only 9% of women believe that we're better investors than men. And so we flee from actually investing. We're afraid of it. And we really need to take that back and learn that we can be confident, smart investors writ large.
Mhm.
And then when women start to learn about impact investing, they get really excited about what's possible with their money. So 84% of us want to invest our money this way. We just don't know how. So I think education is a really, really important component of all of this, and helping women know they can be investors, they can be good investors. We actually outperform men when we do invest. And we can do this in a way that it becomes much more meaningful to our lives, to our families, to our communities, and to the world. And that's the juice that I think that women will really be excited about, and where they'll really come into this type of investing.
I love that, Janine and Ellen. And it's interesting to hear, how you're framing this. And I feel like the narrative that me and I think many others have built into our minds, I mean, it could be based on experience, based on what you're reading, where you're not getting this narrative that women are leading the impact investing space. I mean, I do feel, many times when I was raising investment capital for water equity, I mean, I would walk into a room where it was filled with men, but it's not necessarily reflective of the women who behind the scenes or in other institutions that we were not meeting with have been driving this change. And I think it pivots greatly into the other question that I had for you, Janine and Ellen. And Janine, you brought this up on a prior call, which is that, women don't have to buy into the way men have done philanthropy and impact investment in the past. And I want to be careful in saying that, we're not here to bash men or say, it was all bad. There have been amazing things that have happened in the world thanks to philanthropy and impact investing. There's just limitations. And, the great thing about diversity and having people at the table who think and look differently than you is they're going to approach something differently. So there is an opportunity here with women to create their own narrative as it pertains to philanthropy and impact investing. Mackenzie Scott's a great example of that. Can you unpack that a little bit more for us, Janine and Ellen, in terms of this opportunity here for women in the context of philanthropy and impact investing to create their own narrative and way of doing things?
So I'd love to address Mackenzie and why I think she's so revolutionary and why what she has done is so exciting to me. I mean, I worked at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for 5 years. It was a great experience. I loved being there. I think they're doing great things. And I agree with you, Alex, that this is not about bashing men. It's just that women do things differently. We are different. And so it is okay for us to have a different narrative. I mean, when you look at the way many foundations have been set up, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is like this, that foundation has about 1,500 people that work for it, if I'm not mistaken. And they hire a lot of really smart people to come in to look at key problems that exist in the world and to begin to identify how those problems could be tackled and how the foundation's money can be used in the most advantageous way to really create scaled solutions. And then they go out and they look for nonprofit organizations or partnering organizations that can help fulfill the vision of the people at the foundation. What Mackenzie did was 180 degrees different. She, with no staff and just a consulting firm, went out and looked at the problems she wanted to solve and then identified the organizations that she thought was doing the very best work on the ground. And she just handed them money. She gave away more money in a single year with no staff than the Gates Foundation did with its 1,500 people. She had no strings attached to the money she gave out. She said, I trust you. You know what you're doing. Not I am telling you what to do, but you know what you're doing. I'm going to trust you with this money. I don't even want reports. I'm giving you $10 million. I never want to hear from you again. I mean, it's unprecedented what she did. So I think there's just tremendous opportunity for us to do this differently. I mean, we are taught as women, this is some statistics that actually shocked me. 90% of articles that are written for us about money tell us to spend less money. And 65% of them tell us that investing is scary and hard. 73% of articles that are written for men tell them how to invest and grow their wealth. So we have been fed stories for a very long time, and we can change the stories and create our own narrative. I think it's absolutely possible. And I think that's part of what Ellen and I are trying to do.
Absolutely. I have so many thoughts there, but first, Ellen, I want to bring it back to you.
Oh, I love what you both have said, though. I mean, diversity is the really important point. And when you speak to philanthropy, I mean, both those approaches have tremendous value. So what's critically important is that we are bringing some different approaches. And when it comes to investing, I mean, women were not at the table creating those rules. So here we have a system that is, profit at any cost, and a bunch of baseball statistics. Really, every time, it's this percentage and that percentage, which I think for a lot of women did not have enough of a human dimension and element to it. I know for me, I have an MBA from, an Ivy League school. And I come from a wealthy family. I would sit in my family office meetings, and I found it just boring. And then when I became a values-aligned investor, the money, it came alive. There was a reason for this money being invested. And that was just the early part of my journey. I think when women think more holistically and integrally around what the money is for and what it's being invested for, not just to make more money, to make more money, to make more money. I mean, this is about creating value in the world.
I was literally just about to say that, Ellen. Like I mean, I completely agree with you both. And I'm going to say, so I have to comment on, Mackenzie Scott and these trends, because I feel like what she did responded to what so many social entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders have been asking for years. And, I just, having been in the seat of someone raising money, I've thought about this a lot, because I want to be mindful of all the different ways a philanthropist or an impact investor can think about how their capital can do good. But I think that, unfortunately, for a lot of people, we end up getting caught up in this process where we start overcomplicating, or we think that there's only accountability if we lay in all of these more research, more experts, more people. And all it does is delay impact. And impact delay is impact denied, because we are living truly in probably the most important decade of our lifetime. And that's not us being dramatic. I mean, those are facts. And so when I think about what Mackenzie Scott did, there's a big piece of me that wants to say, but this is common sense. There are organizations out there who have dedicated their whole lives to understanding these issues. And if, a philanthropist is truly approaching these big issues with the spirit of, I'm not an expert in these areas, I'm going to do a lot of due diligence to find the organizations that are. And once I have found them, I want to open the gates so that they can do whatever they need to do. Because the work that these organizations are doing is not a perfect experiment. You're never going to have this perfect linear path. So I'll pivot, into our last question. What are 2 to 3 actionable things that people in our audience today, not just women, men as well, can do to really amplify their social impact through philanthropy and impact investing? Ellen, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I mean, the first thing is to clarify your money goals. What is it that you want your money to do? And there will obviously be things around supporting yourself and your heirs, but also what you want it to accomplish in the world. And we have some tools on the Invest for Better website that can help you with that. The second is to get, I mean, on the investing side, get smarter about what you own. So often we have no idea what we own. We just, there it is. So understand what you own, and get smarter about what are the possibilities for what you could own. So again, Invest for Better and our resources, there's a lot there to help you get smarter. And in fact, we offer you the opportunity both through resources or to connect and to do the third thing, which I think is to connect with others so that you can become a force together. So with Invest for Better, you can join a circle where you can learn more about investing and what you want to do, and you can join together with others to co-invest, just make a difference in the world.
Fantastic. That sounds like a very unique feature of, Invest for Better, which is this new nonprofit that the both of you have launched. I'm going to get on Invest for Better. But Janine, over to you.
Sure. Well, I think that what Ellen brought up is really important. So when you think about Invest for Better, I mean, some of the superpowers that women have are we're really great at collaborating. And we also are really great in community. And so when you think about what we do at Invest for Better, it's really directed toward women. And I will come back to men in a minute, but it's really directed toward women. And what we do is we offer a great curriculum and a set of tools to teach women how to be smart, confident investors and how to invest their money this way. But we do that by putting them together in peer groups or circles where they learn with other women. And there's something incredibly powerful and fun about learning that way. It's just much more meaningful. And I think that when you're in a circle like this, you not only learn the material, but you're learning as much from the other women in your circle as you're learning from the material. And we have put together a trusted community. So you have access to other women beyond just your circle. And those other women include experts. So I think that one of the things to do is to join Invest for Better. And you can do that as simply as going to our website, which is investforbetter.org, and signing up to be on our newsletter and hear about our events and things that are going on. And you can also consider becoming a member of a circle or even leading a circle, because the circles are led by volunteers. They're led by women who are passionate about helping other women be smarter with their money. So that's a very important thing. Another thing that you can do, because we really believe in taking action, is read my book. So men and women can read it. And it really does speak to not only how different asset classes work and how you can invest in them, but how you can make values aligned choices in them. One of the hardest things for me personally in making the investment choices I made was to figure out what could I invest in that was values aligned? What were even the options out there? And finding those options was really, really hard. And so I put a lot of those options in the book. And then I think the third thing is just do something. And a great place to start is with your cash. Mm-hmm. So think about where your savings and checking accounts are. My guess is that many people have no idea how their financial institution is using their capital. And there are many choices where you can put your cash to work in your community. For minority populations like Blacks or Native American Indians, you can put your money to work for climate change, for small agriculture, all of those types of things. And you can find out more about that in my book on my website, activateyourmoney.net, or from a really great website called Mighty Deposits that will help you find a financial institution that aligns with your goals. So just get started, and your cash is a place anyone can start. So join our network, Invest for Better, read my book, Activate Your Money, and start with your cash. Those are
I love that. Janine and Ellen, fantastic. We will definitely be having a part 2 of this conversation in season 2. By then you'll tell us more about how Invest for Better is doing. Sounds like I got to get on there and start a circle myself. But I just thank you for making the time to really contribute your insights and experience to this really important conversation, and looking forward to having you back on the show soon.
great.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.